Hey, you guys are nosy. You guys want to find out the good stuff. I should also be wearing my glasses for this, but I can't be bothered with this situation. Hello my greeting friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Melanie and today I am reacting to your assumptions about me. I put a question box up on my Instagram and I asked you guys to leave some assumptions that you may or may not have about me, and today I'm gonna be reacting to those, answering and denying or admitting whether those are true or false. It's just about to be a chill, chatty video. I opted for this instead of a Q&A just because I wanted to mix things up a bit and something that would allow you guys to get to know me a little bit better, but in a different format to what we're used to doing with Q&As. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, don't forget to do so down below for more bookish content. I am constantly uploading videos that I'm sure you do not want to miss. I am also live streaming throughout the week, doing my weekly reading sprints. I do them on both Wednesdays and Fridays. And you can also follow me on all of my social medias, which are always linked down below. I have an Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Amazon wishlist, and a coffee. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. I honestly love the array of questions and assumptions that we have today for this video. I feel like they're a good mix of book stuff and then like life stuff and then work stuff, so it's very well balanced with everything that I do. So I love that you guys were not afraid to leave me all the juicy cues, all the juicy assumptions. So let's pick the first one. I'm cracking up. I hadn't seen this one because it was the very first one. This says wings over tails, and if you were not a part of this live stream, then you have absolutely no idea what this assumption means. And basically what went down on one of my live streams was that we had an entire debate on whether wings were equal to tails, and this all came about because of the Cruel Prince and the Court of Thorns and Roses, and I have proudly stated to the world that I have DNF'd the Cruel Prince, and a deal breaker for me truly was finding out that Cardan had a tail, a furry tail. It's just not what I like. I personally prefer wings, if I'm being honest. When we're talking about a fantastical setting, they're just majestic and angelic. Freaking love them. But tails, get them out of here. So this assumption is correct. I do prefer wings over tails. I actually got this one several times as well. If you're an extrovert, that you are very outgoing, and I definitely am, but I would say it also depends on the setting. I have always prided myself in being very outgoing, and I have always been incredibly chatty since I was very young. In all honesty, my mom did have to tone me down when I was younger and tell me like, Mel, calm down, you're talking a little bit too much. So I definitely have always been very chatty, very talkative, as you would be able to tell from these videos, from my live streams. But when I am in a room full of strangers, do not ask me to start a conversation because I most likely won't. I will find it pretty hard to start a conversation. I will go along with it, no issue. If you already have a pre-established conversation and I walk into it, I will most certainly carry out the conversation. Also because you never know how people are going to react, so I'm always mindful of that too. I would say I'm an extrovert most times and when I need to be, like when I'm forced to be, but if I can step back into a little bit of a shell sometimes, I most definitely will as well. So maybe like an ambivert, maybe? The next one we have is you're an only child, and that is completely false. So let me know down below, do I give only child vibes? Because now I'm curious about this. I am not a single child. I actually have a younger brother. He is 2 years younger than me, and I love him with my entire being. We are super incredibly close. We just have a lot of similar interests in regards to movies and TV shows, and he pushes me to watch certain things and I push him to read certain things, and we just have a lot of fun together. I guess because we were only 2 kids, we grew up so close to each other. That's not to say that we had our fights when we were younger, because we most definitely did. We fought over the pettiest things, and I mean, that's what you do with your siblings, but now we are super close and we still have our fights sometimes. But again, love him with my entire being, and hopefully he'll make an appearance on my channel. Maybe. I've been trying to convince him, but he kind of doesn't want to do it. So make sure to leave a comment down below to push brother Reads, okay, to come into the channel, because I'd love for him to make an appearance. He's kind of funny. I will say, I will admit, he's really funny. It runs in the family. You prefer hardcover over paperback. This is half true, half lie. I will say it depends on the book, and I have actually answered this question several times on my live streams because people always ask me. I think it really depends on the book, the cover, and I guess the genre, if that makes sense. In contemporary, I really don't don't mind either way. But if it has some sort of foiling on the cover that will make me lean a little bit more towards hardcover, I will most definitely go for like the prettier version of the book. But I will say, price is always a deal breaker. If a book is $20 cheaper because it is a paperback, y'all better know I'ma save up some coin, because $30 could be 3 books and I'ma buy the paperback. Efficiency, money saving, you gotta think it through, people. So again, it depends. I would say I'm half and half. I don't discriminate here. I also got this one several times. You are a fast reader. You read at least 3 hours per day. I don't really time myself when reading. There are days where I don't read at all. There are days where I read for like 8 hours. There's days where I read for an hour. And then there's other days where I sit down, I open the book, read 1 page, and I'm like, nah, this is not happening today. So I don't really force myself to read like a certain amount of hours a day. Am I a fast reader? Most people would say yes. I would also say yes, but it also depends. If I am really into a book, I will fly through it. But if I am reading a book that I am not enjoying as much as I thought I would, it will take me longer to get through it, like any normal person. But thanks to 24-hour readathons, I have found out that I can read an average of 100 pages per hour. Or if we're talking about middle grades or contemporaries that have particularly large fonts, I can read up to 80 pages in 30 minutes. It's a lot, so, you know, do with that info what you will, but I guess I am a fast reader. I am a fast reader. You never liked reading as a kid, but developed love for books as you got older. And that one is actually false. I started reading when I was 7 years old. That's when I started reading by myself. And that's when I started falling in love with fantasy. That's kind of like when I dipped my toes into like middle grade fantasy at the time. And I would just get my hands on whatever I could get from my school's library. And I actually had the sweetest librarian ever who encouraged me to read. And whenever they got new titles at my school's library, whenever somebody donated a book, she'd always say like, hey hun, like this just got in. If you want to read it, I really recommend it. It's really good. And she'd always encourage me to check out books, to take them with me, and to just take my time with them. She would never time me, as you were supposed to do with like students. And I read Twilight when I was 8 years old, y'all. Like Twilight came out, the movie, when did it come out? 2008, 2009? Whenever it came out, that's when I read the first book, like after watching the first movie. And then I just binge read the rest of the books. And then I read Breaking Dawn when it came out because my dad bought it for me for my birthday. I've been reading for it what feels like the longest time. I did fall out of reading though when I graduated from high school, and I fell out of reading for about, I would say, 2 years, because I didn't actually pick up reading again until quarantine started. And I started reading very heavily as I used to when I was in high school. You will read anything SJM writes. Absolutely yes. SJM is my favorite author, like fantasy author, if you can already tell by the beautiful shelf behind me. I absolutely love the way that Sarah J. Maas writes her characters in particular, and the themes of mental health that she includes in a fantastical setting. Some of them personally hit very close to home for me, and I have just fallen in love with those characters throughout the years. I have been reading her for 4 years now, so it's just stories that are very dear and close to my heart, except, and I know people are gonna fight me on this, I will read anything she puts out except a Morrigan book. I am not at all interested in reading about the Morrigan. I love more when she's interacting with people from other people's heads, from other people's POVs. Do I want an entire book on more? Count me out. Anything but that. You're the mom friend slash also you spent a lot of money on friends. Now let me debunk the second half of this particular assumption. I was definitely not the person to be like the big spender, but after I started working, like if I go out with friends, will I pay the bill every now and again? Absolutely yes. Or will I get them a little something? Absolutely yes. But yes, I was never like the biggest spender growing up. Am I the mom friend in my group? I would say most times yes, but it also depends on if there is another mom figure in the group that kind of takes over at the time. But in high school, and even when I got outside of high school, I was definitely like the level-headed one, the mom friend that was always taking care of my friends wherever we were, or the one that people always came for advice to. So I would say I'm kind of the mom friend unless there is a stronger mom presence in the group that is taking over. Is always reading a book 24/7. I actually don't read 24/7. There is a lot of other things that I need to do behind the scenes. I need to film, I need to edit. There's corresponding happening behind the scenes as well with like emailing and such. Then there's my makeup job and everything revolving that with my students. And then I also have corresponding with emails on that end of things. I also work with a nonprofit that specializes in Latino youth and leadership, so their there's also a lot of corresponding going there, and just a lot of different responsibilities being delegated, especially because I am part of the leadership here in Panama. So I definitely do not read 24/7 because I don't have the time to read 24/7, which is why I always reiterate the fact that I read when I can and I squeeze it in where I can, because if not, I wouldn't really get any reading done or I wouldn't get any work done. So I definitely am not reading 24/7, though I wish that would be the absolute dream. You are a dog person, and that is absolutely correct. If you couldn't already tell by my two beautiful dogs, Nala and Chloe, I absolutely am a dog person. However, I am not opposed to cats. I am not opposed to any other sort of animal that could be within a household. I absolutely love animals. They bring so much joy into people's lives. They bring so much joy to my life. I have always grown up with dogs though, which is why I always feel inclined to getting dogs and taking care of dogs and just having them as companions. I had my first dog gifted to me by my godfather when I was, how old was I? I must have been like 4 or 5 years old when I got my first dog, which I named Pongo because of 101 Dalmatians. Yes, you heard it correct. And he was a beagle, by the way. So like nothing related to the movie. I got a lot of makeup questions as well, which I absolutely love, and I will break them down depending on how I'm seeing them. One is, you miss doing people's makeup. By the way, I love you. I love you too. And I absolutely miss doing people's makeup. I think there's something so personal about the experience of somebody allowing you to do their makeup, to enhance their features. There's something so liberating about the process as well, to know that you're working some sort of art into a person's face. I think the process of that is beautiful. I also love the one-on-one interaction with my clients and with my students. I absolutely love that, and I miss all of it. So hopefully we'll be back to some sort of normal sometime soon. Technically, I could start doing people's makeup now because that sort of business is back in the open here in Panama. I don't really want to risk it, and that's the part that kind of hurts me a little bit because everything needs to be so meticulous. And again, I am very careful with what I do. I will admit, I still am kind of paranoid with this whole situation. I am always washing my hands like 5 times over and just being hyper aware of what my hands are touching and what I'm doing with my hands, that I just know the process of doing somebody's makeup right now would probably give me more anxiety than it would give me like a stress relief. So that's why I'm kind of steering clear of it at the moment. You want to move out of Panama one day, and I think this is also pretty accurate. Don't get me wrong, I freaking love my country. I was born, raised, I have lived here my entire life, and I obviously want to own my own home here one day. I just want to do so many things here in Panama because although the opportunities are limited, I feel that gives a space to people in here to create something completely new and to create those opportunities that are not necessarily available right now. But if the space exists and the opportunity is not there, I believe it's up to us to create those opportunities, to take the space, to create the space. And so there's definitely a lot of things that I still want to do here, but I would love to live elsewhere one day. I love traveling. I love exploring new countries, meeting new cultures, and just immersing myself in them. So I would definitely love to live elsewhere one day and to explore different opportunities as well elsewhere. I think when you talk about makeup and particularly the publishing industry, I do believe the hub for that is not here, unfortunately, where I live. None of your in real life friends enjoy reading as much as you do. This is for the most part true. I always laugh at this because the majority of my friends absolutely do not enjoy reading. They're like, oh my god, you're reading? And so it's just like the typical response of like, that's not the cool thing to do. And I just laugh with my friends because I'm like, yeah, like that's what I do, like I love it. But I do have a few friends that read, or that read my recommendations in particular, because they are not necessarily avid readers. And so I definitely have like that little group of friends to do that with, but it's like 4 of them. It's like very, very few. You have a job except of social media. I'm guessing this is, do I have a job outside of social media? And my answer for this is yes, but not really. I feel the farthest thing I do from social media is the nonprofit work that I do, but also the makeup thing I would say is kind of separate of social media, but also very tied in. I don't think nowadays as a makeup artist, especially if you're a freelancer, I don't know how possible it is to carry out that job without having a social media platform. Social media, particularly Instagram or a blog or a website, is definitely that one place where you can plaster your work everywhere. You can present your portfolio to the world, and so I definitely think if that job is very much tied in with social media, especially for like promotional aspects and for brand work. There's just a lot of things going into it that, again, tie in perfectly with social media. So I would say it's kind of outside of it, but also very much tied. So yeah, most of it is tied to social media. I definitely never expected that to be kind of what I ended up doing with my life. And I say my life very loosely because I am barely 21 and there's still hopefully a lot of living to do. So things always change, things are always evolving. I don't know, honestly speaking, what I'll be doing in 10 years. I am not that far ahead of a planner. So I just go with the flow and I just do what I do, and that's me. You were in the popular group at school but would be friends with anyone and everyone. No, 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 no. I was not popular in school, people. I was the farthest from being popular in school. I knew everyone. We've been through this. I'm outgoing, so I definitely knew everyone. I was not popular. I was not getting invited to parties. I was not going out with like the popular group of friends at school. I was the kid being mocked because I liked books, because I was in debate, because I was in theater, because I sang in school assemblies, because I had all the good grades. I was not the popular kid at all. In fact, I had the tiniest group of friends and I liked it that way. I had to endure a lot of mocking in school. You like or liked poetry? I feel like this is the typical answer of, because we were forced to read this in high school, I really didn't like poetry. I was good at analyzing it. That doesn't mean that I particularly enjoyed it. I would say in high school, didn't particularly enjoy it. I will say now though, because I am reading more books in verse, I would say technically that's poetry. Those are long poems, a very long poem. I would say I am kind of into it now, but not to the extent of having individual poetry books by certain individuals. But if you have any poetry book recommendations that you think I'd enjoy, leave it down in the comments. You have an unhealthy addiction to fictional book characters. Is it an addiction? I mean, they did create unhealthy standards for men. I will say that, because I just think that my Prince Charming, my Rowan Whitethorn, my Rhysand are gonna get here. And I'm like, no, Mel, like they're never gonna get here. Like they're freaking fictional. You're not gonna find anyone like them. You are / you'd like to write your own book. I absolutely, yes, I would love to. In fact, again, like I told you guys before with like me falling in love with fantasy, I attempted writing my first book when I was 13. In fact, let us backtrack a little bit. Ever since I was incredibly young, I'd grab books and I'd rewrite them on my computer, or I'd rewrite them by hand. If that is not an indication that I wanted to write, I don't know what is. And again, I attempted for the first time when I was 13, and then I started writing fan fiction. My proudest moment when I was also 13, 14 years old. I re-attempted writing something when I was 16, 17. And then last year when quarantine started, before I started reading again, I actually sat down on my Scrivener and I started typing up a story, and then I started reading again, and that's when it stopped. I find when I am heavily reading, it is the most difficult time to read because those thoughts and those tropes and those character qualities and those plot points start bleeding through into your own mentality and what you are writing. So when I write, I kind of have to steer clear of all reading, and I don't know if I'm quite ready to immerse myself fully in that journey. But do I want to start drafting again this year? Absolutely yes. At some point I need to take the dust off my Scrivener, and there's just a lot of different pitches that I have for fantasy, contemporary, and thriller. So you know, there's a lot in there that I'd like to explore myself. You secretly don't like enemies to lovers but say you like it just to fit in. That's absolutely false. I love enemies to lovers. Anything that is in that realm of hate to love, enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers, anything revolving that is my absolute favorite. There is just that one satisfying moment of recognition of saying, I didn't realize how thin the line between love and hate was, but I freaking love you and I would give up my life for you, and if anybody comes at you, I will freaking murder them. What's there not to like about that? You're a kind-hearted soul. I'd like to believe so. Being kind, and I have always talked about this on my live streams, being kind is free. And we live in a world where so many things are happening in such a negative stance, in such a negative light, that it costs us nothing to be kind to others, to be generous. And so I definitely try and be the kindest that I can. Even if I am not okay with a situation, I will always deal with it with kindness. I think the world already has too much hate to project more of that too. So I definitely stand by, you know, the saying, kill them with kindness. It's literally the best you could do. The last one, which I find is a cute note to close this video with, is you love us. And I really, really do. I don't think I could ever explain to you guys how much I freaking appreciate all of you. You guys are so supportive whenever you guys like a video, whenever you guys comment, whenever you guys watch it in general, you guys tuning into live streams and participating in read-alongs, participating in readathons, sending me DMs, just you guys are so supportive, even with clicking on a wish list, which you definitely don't even have to do. There are just so many things that you guys are there for. You guys are constantly there cheering me up even when I'm feeling down. You guys are genuinely some of the kindest people out there, and I scored so high with all of you and having you guys as my community, as my family on the internet, and I am every bit thankful for every single one of you. So yes, I definitely love every single one of you. To the moon and back, to the stars to listen and the dreams that are answered, absolutely always. I just feel so fulfilled when I think of what we've accomplished, where we've gotten, and the things that we'll continue to do. And I just, you know, want to take this little moment to say just thank you for everything that you guys do for me, for us, for this channel, and for being as supportive as you are, because you guys are literally, as we say over here, 100 out of 10. And yes, those are all the assumptions that I have for you guys today. Again, I will probably be doing another one of these later on, or at least some sort of dynamic that involves the little question box on Instagram, because I think these are very fun. Comment down below what other challenges like these you'd like to see that involve you guys answering some sort of prompt on my IG stories. I am always looking for videos like these that feel more chatty and that don't necessarily involve reviewing a book or like a reading vlog, that again allow us to bond a little bit more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below for more bookish content as well. If you reach the end of the video, comment down below the emoji with like the little magnifying glass, like, you know, he's just looking into the beyond with a little glass right here. That's one of my favorite emojis. Again, I am always live streaming throughout the week, doing my weekly reading sprints. We have a 24-hour readathon starting tomorrow, and I am super excited for that. And you can also follow me on all of my social medias, which are always linked down below. I have an Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Amazon wishlist, and a coffee. You guys know the deal. And yeah, I love you all so, so much, to the moon and back, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye, guys.